I've documented some of the most influential ideas of the late 19th and 20th centuries. Ideas that sparked revolutions, challenged norms, and reshaped societies. From art and politics to science and philosophy, these concepts clashed and collided across history. Let's start. Industrial Revolution. James Watt's steam engine didn't just change machines, it changed the map of the world. As factories sprang up, millions left rural life behind, chasing work in booming cities. Workers faced long hours, low pay, and harsh conditions. Price of progress? A divided society learning to live in the shadow of smoke. Marxism. In 1848, Karl Marx dropped a political bombshell, the Communist Manifesto. They called for the end of capitalism and imagined a world without class, where workers owned the fruits of their labor. Marxism became the blueprint for revolutions, but also for fierce debate. Because while the vision promised equality, the reality often sparked conflict. Darwinism. In 1859, Charles Darwin dared to ask, what if nature, not God, shaped life? On the Origin of Species rocked science and society. Darwin's theory of natural selection not only rewrote biology, it shattered old beliefs about humanity's place in the world. Evolution wasn't just about species, it was about perspective. American Civil War. America tore itself apart in the 1860s, one side fighting for freedom, the other for the status quo. Abraham Lincoln rose to the moment, signing the Emancipation Proclamation and declaring that slavery had no place in a united nation. The Civil War wasn't just about preserving the Union, it was about redefining what freedom really meant. Impressionism. Claude Monet didn't paint scenes, he painted moments. Impressionism shattered the rules of art with bold brushstrokes and shimmering light, turning ordinary life into emotional masterpieces. It sparked a cultural shift, freeing artists to express feeling over form and nudging society closer to modernity. Women's suffrage movement. Imagine fighting for a voice in your own country just to cast a vote. Susan B. Anthony and countless women around the world stood up, spoke out, and refused to back down. The suffrage movement didn't just win the ballot, it rewrote democracy itself, proving that justice can be delayed but never denied. World War I redrew the map and rewrote the rules of war. Trench lines stretched across Europe as tanks, planes, and poison gas turned battlefields into nightmares. President Woodrow Wilson pushed for peace through the League of Nations, but the scars ran deep. The war to end all wars would instead sow the seeds for the next Russian Revolution. In 1917, Vladimir Lenin lit the spark that toppled the Russian monarchy and unleashed a new world order. The Bolsheviks seized power, birthing the Soviet Union and redefining what revolution looked like. But this wasn't just Russia's upheaval, it was the beginning of a global ideological battle that would echo through the Cold War and beyond. Theory of relativity. In 1915, Albert Einstein didn't just rewrite physics, he rewired how we see reality. Space and time weren't fixed, they flexed, flowed, and bent with gravity. His theory of relativity shattered Newton's rules and redefined the universe as one interconnected dance. Suddenly, everything from black holes to time travel was on the table. Great Depression. In 1929, the world's economy came crashing down. Banks failed, jobs vanished, and breadlines stretched across nations. In the US, President Franklin D. Roosevelt launched the New Deal, a lifeline of hope through reform. But the scars ran deep, and the Depression didn't just reshape economies, it redefined the government's role in people's lives. Fascism. In the early 20th century, Benito Mussolini rose to power in Italy, championing fascism, an ideology built on authoritarian rule, militant nationalism, and the silencing of dissent. His regime didn't just control a nation, it inspired a wave of dictatorships, helping ignite the flames of World War II and reshaping global politics for decades. Prohibition. In 1920, America banned booze and opened the door to bootleggers, speakeasies, and the rise of organized crime. President Hoover hoped to uplift public morals, but instead, Prohibition sparked a black market empire. 13 years later, the 21st Amendment hit reset, proving that laws can shape culture, but not always control it. Jazz Age. The 1920s had a soundtrack, and it was jazz. Louis Armstrong led a cultural revolution with every note, turning music into a movement. The Jazz Age broke social rules, inspired bold fashion, and redefined what it meant to be modern. It wasn't just music, it was freedom set to rhythm. What if art could tap into your dreams? That's exactly what Salvador Dali and the Surrealists set out to do, blending the bizarre with the everyday. Surrealism cracked open the subconscious, turning emotions, symbols, and imagination into powerful visual puzzles that forever changed how we define reality and art itself. Assembly line manufacturing. In 1913, Henry Ford didn't just build cars, he built a system that changed the world. The assembly line slashed production time, dropped costs, and made automobiles accessible to everyday Americans. But its true impact? It set the pace for a new era, one of mass production, urban expansion, and the birth of modern consumer culture. At the smallest scale of reality, the rules break and quantum mechanics takes over. Max Planck and Albert Einstein opened the door to a world where particles behave like waves and uncertainty is part of the equation. This wasn't just scientific breakthrough. It was a complete rethink of how the universe works, powering the tech of tomorrow. League of Nations. After the devastation of World War I, Woodrow Wilson envisioned peace with structure, the League of Nations. It was bold, new, and deeply flawed. Though it failed to stop future wars, planted the seed for global cooperation, paving the way for the United Nations and a modern age of diplomacy. Psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud dared to ask what lurks beneath our thoughts. With psychoanalysis, he cracked open the unconscious mind, where dreams, fears, and instincts collide. His theories changed not just how we treat mental illness, but how we see ourselves. Love him or challenge him, Freud reshaped the human story from the inside out. In 1919, Walter Gropius launched more than a design school. He sparked a revolution in form and function. The Bauhaus fused art with industry, stripping design down to its essence. Clean lines, useful beauty, no excess. Though shut down by the Nazis, its minimalist vision lives on in every modern space. Keynesian economics. When the markets crashed, John Maynard Keynes stepped in with a radical idea: government shouldn't wait, it should act. His theory flipped economics on its head, calling for public spending to stabilize downturns. Keynes didn't just rewrite policy, he helped governments around the world weather crisis and rebuild confidence in capitalism itself. Existentialism. What if life has no meaning until you choose one? That's the heart of existentialism. Jean-Paul Sartre and thinkers before him argued that we aren't born with purpose. We create it through choice, freedom, and action. In a chaotic world, existentialism reminds us meaning isn't found, it's made. Cubism. What if a painting showed all angles at once? That's the world Picasso and Braque opened with Cubism, shattering objects into shapes, rearranging reality, and turning vision into geometry. It wasn't just a new style, it was an artistic revolution that fractured tradition and rebuilt the future of modern art. Universal suffrage. Across nations and decades, one idea rose above all: every voice deserves a vote. Emmeline Pankhurst and countless others fought not just for women, but for democracy itself. Universal suffrage became the heartbeat of modern freedom, ensuring that power belongs to people, not privilege. Scramble for Africa. Between 1881 and 1914, Europe carved up Africa, not with diplomacy, but with maps and greed. King Leopold II's brutal rule in the Congo was just one chapter in a wider story of exploitation. The scars of colonization ran deep, but so did the roots of resistance, fueling the fight for freedom and shaping Africa's path to independence. Social Security Act. In 1935, America made a promise to protect its most vulnerable. Under Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Social Security Act created a safety net for the elderly, the unemployed, and the disabled. It wasn't just policy. It was a pledge that government could be a shield in times of hardship, reshaping the role of the state in everyday life. Spanish Civil War. Before World War II exploded, Spain became its proving ground. Francisco Franco's rise during the Spanish Civil War drew in global powers: Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, the Soviet Union, all backing opposing sides. The war ended with dictatorship, but its deeper legacy was a warning. The world was on the brink of something far worse: radio broadcasting. In the 1920s, Guglielmo Marconi turned invisible waves into a global voice. Radio revolutionized mass communication, delivering news, music, and ideas to millions in real time. It wasn't just a broadcast, it was the birth of a connected world, laying the foundation for everything from podcasts to public opinion. Automobile mass production. In 1908, Henry Ford didn't just build a car, he built a movement. With assembly line innovation, the Model T became affordable and the road became open to all. Mobility transformed lives, reshaped cities, and put the modern world in motion. One car, one family, one journey at a time. Art Deco. Bold, geometric, and unapologetically elegant. Art Deco was the signature of the Roaring '20s. From Tamara de Lempica's glamorized portraits to the shimmering skyscrapers, this design movement fused luxury with modernism, leaving a timeless imprint on cities and culture worldwide. Planned economy. Under Stalin's grip, the Soviet Union embraced a planned economy where the government controlled production and resources. It fueled rapid industrial growth but came at a high human cost: repression, displacement, and sacrifice. Globally, this model sparked fierce debates on freedom, aviation advancements. In 1903, the Wright brothers took to the skies, marking the dawn of modern air travel. Their flight control breakthroughs shrank the world, making global trade, war, and exploration faster than ever. Their legacy? A world where the sky is no longer the limit, but the launch pad. Modernism. Modernism shattered tradition. In the wake of World War I, thinkers like T.S. Eliot redefined art, literature, and architecture, capturing the chaos and complexity of a changing world. This movement wasn't just a style, it was a cultural revolution that asked, what does it mean to be modern? Nationalism. Nationalism ignited a wave of unity and conflict. Leaders like Giuseppe Garibaldi helped forge nations from scattered states, giving rise to powerful identities rooted in culture and history. But nationalism didn't just shape borders, it reshaped the global order, inspiring revolutions, independence movements, and lasting geopolitical change. Cinema. Cinema didn't just entertain, it transformed how we see the world. Thanks to the Lumiere brothers, motion pictures became a powerful tool for storytelling, culture, and connection. From silent reels to global blockbusters, film evolved into a universal language, forever shaping how we share human experience. Zionism. Theodor Herzl's vision sparked a movement, Zionism, a call for a Jewish homeland in response to rising anti-Semitism in Europe. What began as a political dream in the late 1800s would lead to the founding of Israel in 1948, forever altering the geopolitical and cultural fabric of the modern world. Expressionism. Distorted lines, raw emotion. Expressionism shattered realism's rules to capture the feeling behind the scene. Edvard Munch's The Scream didn't just show a moment, it made you feel the angst. This early 20th century art movement gave voice to the soul, influencing everything from painting to theater. Women's fashion revolution, shorter hemlines, bolder freedom. In the 1920s, Coco Chanel broke tradition, ditching corsets for comfort and launching the iconic flapper style. This wasn't just fashion, it was rebellion. Women redefined identity and independence, with style leading the charge into a modern era. Negritude movement. In the 1930s, two poets, Aimé Césaire and Léopold Senghor, sparked a movement. Negritude wasn't just literature, it was resistance, a bold celebration of black identity, culture, and heritage rising against colonialism. Their words ignited pride and helped shape global conversations on race, power, and belonging. Forget art for art's sake. Constructivism turned creativity into a tool for revolution. Vladimir Tatlin led the charge, blending industry with imagination. This wasn't just style, it was purpose-driven design, redefining how art functioned in the modern world. New objectivity, raw, real, relentless. The new objectivity art movement stripped away the romance and exposed post-World War I society in brutal truth. Otto Dix painted pain like few others, turning the trauma of war into searing visual commentary. This wasn't just art, it was a reckoning. Socialist realism. Imagine a world where art isn't just art, it's a megaphone for the state. Under Stalin, socialist realism wasn't optional. It glorified Soviet life, celebrated the working class, and silenced dissent. Every brush stroke was propaganda. Beauty with an agenda or just control in disguise. Abstract expressionism. What if art wasn't about what you see but what you feel? In the 1940s, Jackson Pollock flung paint like emotion onto canvas, breaking every rule of traditional art. Abstract expressionism wasn't neat, it was raw, messy, and wildly personal. This was art as chaos, and it changed everything. Atomic theory advancements. Imagine cracking open the universe and peering inside. That's exactly what Rutherford and Bohr did. By discovering the nucleus and mapping the atom's structure, they didn't just advance science, they rewrote it. Their work sparked the quantum revolution and gave us the keys to nuclear energy and modern chemistry. Electrification. Before electrification, the world was dark, literally. Thanks to Thomas Edison's inventions, electric power surged into homes and cities, transforming everyday life. From lighting our nights to powering industries, Edison sparked a revolution that wired the world and became the heartbeat heartbeat of modern civilization. Throughout history, big ideas have collided: nationalism versus imperialism, capitalism versus socialism, nature versus nurture. The world has been shaped by these debates, their tensions, and the movements they've sparked. So here's the question: which side of history speaks to you? Drop your favorite in the comments below.